Hey everyone, it's Blair here at Time Trades. Thanks for joining me this weekend. It's Sunday, October 2nd, and this is your weekly video. So we're going to start things off as usual with a review of last week's forecast to see how that goes. And then we're going to build a new forecast here for you. Okay, so what you're looking at here is a trading view, and I'm using the Time Trade script. And one of the things I'm showing is a tweet that I made back on September 13th after this big day, this big down day that occurred. So on September 13th, you can see on the cues that this was a rare day when we went from a trending green Heikin-Ashi bar to a trending red Heikin-Ashi bar. Almost always on a daily basis, there's a transition period where we transition from trending green to trending red with one or two indecision candles in between. There was no indecision here. It was very much bang, flip the light switch, and then trending down. So I'm showing this here just as an indication of a couple things. I guess a reminder to myself to just have conviction in these medium-term trends and take advantage of those and stay aligned with those, because this turned out to be a very pivotal day. Because we haven't had a green candle since. Now, at least on the cues, we've had a few indecision days. We've had a few, highs that exceed the highs of the previous days. But on the whole, for the last 3 weeks, it's been red. Okay, and I saw that here, and really, I could have personally, in my own execution, I could have done a lot better had I stayed just on side with this simple observation. Okay, so I think that's an important takeaway here is just understanding that execution and analysis are two different things. I'm sharing my own analysis of the NASDAQ using timing information and time trades but turning that into superior execution also requires, certainly an element of patience and conviction. Okay, so now what did we say last week? Okay, so we were talking a little bit about, maybe seeing the start of a bottom last weekend. So let's drill down into that. Okay, so that was our statement back on the 23rd that, let's start to look for signs of a bottom. And we started to see signs of a bottom here, actually. And we see, 1, 2, 3 indecision candles, and we see some long lower wicks here, starting to look very much like a bottoming pattern. And then Friday happened, and we get this trending red Heikin-Ashi bar. So where does that leave us? There's certainly a lot of fear in the air right now, a lot of social media talk about Credit Suisse and that. Who knows how it's going to shake out? Who knows what the market reaction is going to be to it? I guess the general statement is, hey, we are in a secular bear market and will be for the foreseeable future. That being said, things never go straight down. And if we kind of zoom out here and take a look at, what was the basis for this tweet here, it was really based on Gann waves. Okay, so Gann waves are these blue and yellow waves, and I want to give a shout out to my friend at Gann Club who pointed these out to me, and these are incredibly reliable indicators. So if you go back in time and look at the blue Gann waves here, let's do this on the cues, because the Gann wave alignment is accurate on the cues. It's off by a day on the futures because of a trading view issue. So if we go back and look at Gann Wave Blues, they have tagged lows within 1 or 2 days, basically for the last, 3-4 months. Okay, so September 6th, tag the low, August 9th, tag the low, July 12th, off by a day. June 15th, off by a day. May 18th, off by 2 days. And now we get into some inversions where instead of tagging lows, it's tagging highs. April 21st, tagged a high. And over here is probably the first, real miss back March 25th. It was really a trend just continued on up through that Gann Wave Blue and then stopped right around the Gann Wave Green on March 31st. So incredible track record here of this timing indicator. And that's why I tweeted out back on September 13th, next chance at a pivot low, early October. Well, here we are, early October. There's a lot of tension and stress in the system, a lot of bearish sentiment in social media over the weekend. I think we could end up seeing a rare capitulation low. The selling so far has been incredibly orderly, right? What's been missing are those big high volume spike down days with lots of fear that kind of clear the decks for, a 1 or 2 week up move. The last time I think we saw one of those was back in January. So if we go back here and take a look at January 24th, we can see what I recall to be one of the last capitulation days, and that's January 24th. That was also a Monday. And we see that huge lower wick here on the Heiken Ashi bars, right? So heading into this Monday, I think, we need to really be of two minds here. Yes, understanding that it is a broader bear market, but at the same time, we're trending towards a peak in fear. And that can create a kind of a washout low scenario that can last for a couple weeks. So if that's your time frame as a trader, there could be some great opportunities on Monday with this Gann Wave Blue coming up. And for the forecast going forward, I've kind of drawn a gray box here. So let's zoom into this. And I guess I'm gonna cop out a little bit and hedge my bets here and provide a dual forecast, right? A bullish version and a bearish version. And, normally I don't like to do that. I like to give unidirectional forecasts, and I have been, with pretty good reliability lately. But what we see here is an opportunity on Monday where, let's imagine this gray box here is the candle on Monday, okay? So that establishes a very nice risk-reward range where any sort of movement above or below that candle, basically I'm saying use that range as a buy stop. So the top of Monday's range could be a buy stop. The bottom of Monday's range could be a sell stop. If things continue to blow through this Gann Wave Blue and keep heading down, then the next timing opportunity is really August 10th. If we get a reversal, like we tend to see on Gann Wave Blue days, then we'd be looking for at least October 10th and maybe a little bit later. Okay, so that's the dual forecast going forward. We'll let price dictate which one wins. But for now, personally, over the weekend, I'm hedged. So I'm looking to take off these bearish hedges on Monday on any potential capitulation lower, take advantage of that. And then we'll wait and see what price action does on Tuesday. And if we get some strength, then it's a great opportunity for a low risk, high reward entry. Okay, so that's the assessment going forward. Before we move on, let's just do a quick review here of the time trades roadmap and what's changed in the last week. Okay. For the machine learning side, we did some optimizations around how we handle Mars Helio degrees since pivots. You know that time trades automatically identifies pivots and then automatically counts degrees of different planets after those pivots. So there's different ways to count those helio degrees, and we made some tweaks to how Mars is represented here. We got this idea from Daniel Ferrara's book called Gann's mass pressure forecasting charts. And this is one of the cool things about time trades is I can use it as a platform to blend together ideas from multiple books so that, you know, you don't have to read them and you don't face the challenge of integrating all these ideas together, right? I use machine learning as a giant blender to combine all of these ideas together and represent them as probabilities for you. Okay, so the roadmap for the product as of today is continuing to focus on smoothing out some of the rough edges in the web application. This week I've been working on improving the first hour experience for new users. I want to make resources for new users easier to find, easier to use, and improve the quantity and quality of those. We're still carrying forward, you know, the work to identify the key influencers on intraday trading view charts and make that customized per symbol. So yeah, work's continuing on both fronts, the machine learning and the web application front end. Okay, so let's go back to time trades here, and we'll go through some of what we see here on the machine learning probabilities. We're looking at the cues, and we're seeing what the machine learning is coming up with in terms of daily probabilities. The dominant feature here is pivot high October 24th. Okay, this is a nice strong cluster. It would be a little bit more bullish if there were some more green bars here. There's not. So I'm for the bullish case, I'm leaning heavily on the past track record of Gann Wave Blues to create lows in the market. Okay, so that's the big reason for the potential bullish forecast if we are able to take out Monday's high later in the week. Okay, so we've got some probabilities of moves down here, but you know, remember in these probabilities, there's two things that's being forecast. There's the first one is the probability of a move, and the second one that it's a move down. So it's possible that, you know, one of those two things is correct. We could get, you know, the probability of a move could be correct, but the direction could be wrong, right? So that's what I call an inversion. And you always have to be open to that possibility of an inversion when interpreting these probabilities. So that's why we should always be looking at price as a confirmation here to before taking any entries. Okay, so that's the cues. Actually, before I move on from the cues, I want to share with you something called the juice. I haven't talked about this in a few months, but the juice is an indicator that indicates when there is a very tight alignment between 3 or more planets, and you can see that's making a big spike high here on October 4th. Now, the spikes don't tend to be what's important is whether or not there's a spike. It's the height of the spikes don't tend to correlate with big moves. But if you look in the past, when there are spikes, they do tend, like especially over here, they do tend to correlate with some big moves in the market. Okay, so July 6th was a good one. April 13th, we got some green bars. Also May 11th, we got some red bars followed by some green bars. So sometimes it takes a day or two for the juice to create an impact. Often that impact is bullish, just as that energy goes into the system. Here's an example of one that didn't work. January 3rd, we got a big juice spike. There was a small green bar the day of, but then things fell over after that. Here's a better example of a typical juice spike on November 17th, where, we're able to get a couple green bars out of that one. So something to be aware of. There's actually two real interesting alignment events happening this week. The first one is actually today. So that is Venus, Earth, and Jupiter lining up. And then later in the week, we get Venus, Juno, and Neptune in a very tight alignment. And that's the cause for this big spike. So that is something to keep in mind. These juice spikes are built into the machine learning, so they are picked up in the daily probabilities, but I also like to show them here on the chart just so you can visualize them on your own. Okay, so I wanted to cover that. Let's take a look at spiders. So we're going to move on through the indexes as usual. I'm going to turn juice off. So the spiders, again, we've got this big cluster of red down days here, followed by a pivot high supported by some green days. So we need to be careful about this. This could turn out to be correct. This could turn out to be an inversion where we get a move, but it's a move up. So this is why taking a look at the price action on Tuesday relative to Monday is so important. That'll give us the directional hint, and that'll inform whether these forecast down moves are directionally correct or directionally wrong. Okay, let's look at the Dow. Similar to the spiders, we've got a big cluster of red down days here. We need to interpret them the same way. And we've got a pivot high later in October supported by some up days. Okay, now let's take a look at some individual stocks. We'll review the same ones that we did last time. We've got Apple here. We've got a declining probability of down days. Now, whenever that happens, that also tends to align with the stock moving up. As the down pressure backs off, the stock can move up, and that can move up into this pivot high here, October 11th. Okay, so this actually, doesn't look too bad on the bullish side, but again, we want to wait for confirmation coming out of Monday. NVDA has a pretty good looking chart. If you're a bull, I started to add to this on the long side this week, was probably a little early. That's a bad habit of mine and my own personal execution. I need to do a better job waiting for confirmation here. But the thing I love about NVIDIA is its location relative to the white magic level. And we got, a couple days bouncing off that white magic level. I thought we achieved liftoff on the 28th. We did not. It fell back down below. So hopefully with this Gann Wave Blue and this pivot low on the 4th, we will have enough of a base to push off and look at this lovely cluster of green here heading into a pivot high later in October. So that's what we're playing NVIDIA for. You can achieve a nice low risk, high reward entry here probably sometime this week just by watching that one closely. Okay, so let's take a look at crypto before we close the call. We're going to look at Bitcoin here. The Bitcoin forecast is really quite quiet, so it's a good opportunity to fall back to the two most important aspects of time trades, and that is looking at price relative to magic levels and also the context. And by context, we mean things like Gann waves. So if Bitcoin were to, for example, cross this magic level here at 19,800 or so, 19,800, cross that right around this blue Gann wave, that might indicate a potential bullish move up here. So keep an eye out for that. And also, it makes more sense when you look at the Ethereum chart as well. Ethereum has some bullish probabilities going through October 8th. So That is a similar setup to Bitcoin. The big difference is, of course, the probabilities are a lot more clear. And so if Ethereum were to separate above this white magic level, that would be a very bullish confirmation of these probabilities. Okay, the other coin that really caught my eye this week is Litecoin. It's got a nice little cluster of green here, starting on October 4th. So let's take a look at that one. I'd put that one on watch if you're into trading Litecoin. Wait for a confirmation, specifically separation above this magic level at 53. If we do get that confirmation, it could run for a week or so. Wait for price to confirm and then raise stops. That looks like an interesting potential coin to play this week. Okay, so that is really what I wanted to cover today. So I want to thank you all for using Time Trades, and especially thank you for subscribing. We hit the 1,000 subscriber mark on the Time Trades YouTube channel this week. Obviously couldn't have done that without your support. And I'm proud to say that not once did I ever ask you to like or subscribe these videos. So that was all organic. You guys are smart enough to figure out if I'm adding enough value to subscribe. So thanks again for your confidence. And we will talk again next week. Have a safe week trading and good luck. Bye now.